Well, good afternoon, successful business worldwide. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with our guest, a renowned global hiring manager who has helped countless companies across the world find, acquire top-notch talent. As you know, in today's rapidly evolving business landscape where competition for skilled professionals is fierce, having an expert like our guest on our show is invaluable. With years of experience in the recruitment industry, he has developed a keen eye for identifying and attracting the best candidates, regardless of their location or background. As companies increasingly operate on a global scale, the need for diverse and talented workforce has never been more crucial. Our guest understands that, and he understands it better than anyone else. So his insight into the art of global hiring are for sure to be enlightening for our viewers. Whether you're an employer seeking to expand your operation, your talent pool, or job seeker looking to navigate the international job market, this interview promises to be a treasure trove for valuable information. So let's dive right in and welcome our esteemed guest to the show. Now, I will tell you, Landon, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for taking from your busy time. And we are excited to learn from your expertise and gain a deeper understanding of the challenges and opportunities in global hiring. So let's start by introducing yourself.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. What a kind introduction. Yeah, I love global hiring. That's one of my passions is really stirring the pot of people around the world and letting them get to know each other and work across borders easily. And so it's definitely a passion of mine. After high school, I did a service mission in Lithuania and Latvia in Eastern Europe. And then after that and my undergrad, I knew I wanted to do international business. And there's a school that is a specialty private school for international business now through ASU, but it's called Thunderbird. And so
Ah,
I heard about that, and I was like, "Yep, that's my school. I want to get an MBA, and I want to do global business." And I studied in Prague, and I studied in Beijing. I did some consulting in Africa.
hmm,
I did a long internship with Cisco Systems in the Bay Area, and it was just an incredible, enriching, life-changing experience. And then the consulting that I did in Angola led to a full-time offer with ExxonMobil in Texas, in
hmm.
Houston. And so I was in their, finance and accounting department. Full disclosure, it was like, I'm willing to do finance and accounting if it means I could get another one of those like overseas, what we call the expat assignments, right? And so I wanted to live international, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to get those types of positions. And I can go into that. But it's just really expensive to send an American, especially, to another country with taxes and travel and benefits and all that kind of stuff. In fact, the person that was my primary recruiter, he became the country manager for Thailand.
Hmm.
And my wife and I had visited there when I was at school after studying in Beijing, and it was like, oh, how do we get to Thailand? Like that would be incredible. But what's interesting is the first job that I had at the company, they said I was what's called a workforce analyst. So if the company wants to hire more, IT support people or marketing people or HR accounting, like which country location is going to be the best for the business. So a lot of my analysis was what's the cost per person by country across the world.
Hmm.
And I could see very easily that for the cost of an expat, which can be really expensive in Thailand, you could hire easily, 5 to 10 local accountants. So here I am, like, I want to go work in Thailand, but I know these accountants in Thailand, they're really good. Their English is good. They're really smart. Like, why would the company send me and pay all that extra money to go do a job that they already have people doing? So I learned really quickly that there is what the company called arbitrage in cost savings to hire people around the world. The next assignment that they gave me was like pure accounting, which
Hmm.
was very fun. And I decided, if it's getting more and more difficult, I was asking to go to locations nobody should ever ask to have their family move to. And when they declined me for, the last one of those in the Middle East, I was like, okay, if I can't get the Iraq job, then sayonara, I'm going to move home to where my family is in Utah, and kind of made a career shift and went more into training and sales for a software company called Pluralsight,
Mm.
a technology training platform. And I covered Eastern Europe, which is my love. This painting behind me is Latvia. And I loved that experience, loved the magic of a startup company, venture backed. The head of international at that company decided he took a role with a global expansion consultancy
Uh-huh.
and pulled me over with him. And that was really fun, like to help companies hire internationally, different companies all the time. Should they set up an entity or use employer of record, or how do they pay these people and make it easy to do that? But there was a constant, one need in that market. There was a huge demand for it, but one need was like good customer experience, good service.
Mhm.
Um, and so I got with two of my favorite colleagues at that company and said, we could do this so much better. Let's do it on our own. And I guess that was maybe my next best sell after chasing my wife, is getting these two people to peel away and start Listo with me. So we started just 2 years ago. We quit our full-time jobs and said, let's get a software company set up and make it easy for businesses to find, hire, and pay anyone, anywhere in the world. And that's what we do.
Wow, what a rich, rich, rich history and experience. Like I said, we couldn't have found a better person than the gentleman in front of you. Have you told us your name?
Landon Pitcher, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, you didn't say. I was waiting for you. Okay, who are you, Landon Pitcher? So he is the right person for the right job and for this episode. And what you are saying, it takes courage. Obviously, it takes perseverance. It takes dedication, and I commend you. Congratulations on your company.
So
Any questions?
can I ask you a question, Landon? Because this is fascinating. I know that especially after COVID, everybody's pretty much gone to remote. We have now what we call people who are now global nomads, who take their laptop and they just go wherever and they work from wherever.
Mm-hmm.
I also am aware that there are many companies that are coming into existence that do like foreign subcontracting. So I know, for example, for virtual assistants and that kind of work, where you
Correct.
can just subcontract somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed that what you're offering is something like more of a substantial workforce, correct? Like, so if you want somebody full-time or a group of people to work full-time, but you don't know what the legal ramifications are or the tax ramifications, I see that you have something called the employer of record. So it's, if I understand correctly, it's like an entity that takes the place of having to have a legal presence or a fiscal presence in the country where you're hiring people. And can you explain how that works, and maybe how maybe a small to medium business owner might benefit from something like that?
Yeah, really, really great question. And what we found is 65% of hiring HR leaders are still not aware of what employer of record is. So depending on, especially if your audience is based in the United States, this is really good for them to know. Because if you're hiring someone, let's say your company's based in, Kentucky, and you have a really great AI computer programmer in California. If you want to pay that person in California, you have to register with the California tax authorities that I'm paying this person, and there's going to be California payroll taxes and benefits and Social Security and everything that way. So you can't just Venmo them in California. That's all under the table. Well, now, like, instead of San Jose, California, let's say it's San Jose, Costa Rica. Now what do I do? Like, it's not just that easy to go register, to pay someone in Costa Rica, because I need to have a legal entity like an LLC. I need to have, what they call a limitada. And then because I put my flag in the ground in Costa Rica, now I'm going to need accounting, taxes. I've got a compliance filings that I've got to do with the Costa Rican authorities. And so boy, like that's a lot. And I also have to navigate the nuances of labor laws and HR and all those other kind of problems. So what the employer of record allows us to do is say, instead of you setting up an entity in Costa Rica just to hire 2 or 3 people, use our entity. We already have Listo Costa Rica. We have our limitada set up. So we will be their employer on paper, and we'll provide their payroll, their HR, their benefits, but they are your employee from the standpoint of they can have your LinkedIn, they put your company on LinkedIn, business cards, email address. The day-to-day work is with you, the company. And we don't manage performance, anything like that. We're truly just that, what it's called, employer of record. And so we have a software that makes it easy. You can pick your country and put in the name and information of the person that you want to hire. And then that starts an offer letter and an employment contract, and you get on with our team, and we can help to facilitate that employment in a very easy way. And again, I use the example of Costa Rica, but it's pretty much any country that you'd want to do business in. So sorry if you're trying to hire someone in North Korea or Iran or something like that, kind of difficult for us right now. But anywhere you want to hire someone, we're set up and ready to go in nearly 200 countries.
I do have a question, Landon, about identifying the top talent globally. What are the key factors you consider when evaluating candidates from different cultural backgrounds and geographical areas?
So which factors do we consider when hiring,
when evaluating candidates?
Yeah. When picking a country, I guess is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
It will depend. Which factors, not, there's several of them, as you know. Let's say first is time zone, right? And then next, what is what's the driving force? Are you hiring in a different country because you can't find that person in the United States or in your home market? And it's like, we just need to open up the borders and say, maybe they have this person in Europe or South America, whatever it is. Or are you trying to save budget? And, instead of hiring a computer programmer in, again, San Jose, California for 200 grand a year, I could probably get that same person for, with that experience level in Mexico or Costa Rica for 8,000 a month, right? 100K a year. So there's huge cost savings. So it depends on the position. You want to think of like what the time zone is. And if you're okay with them working more of either a night shift or paying a premium to have them work a night shift, or they're working while you're sleeping, and then, try to have like an hour overlap at the beginning or end of your day, something like that.
I have a question about that. Do you actually have a workforce that you can interview? So in other words, like if I say I'm looking for somebody in the financial area, can you help me find somebody, say in, I don't know, Mexico or in Philippines, who has a certain, it can speak English, has this kind of a background? Do you help people find the profile, the employee profile that they're looking for?
Yeah, we definitely can do that. So our mission is to make it easy to find, hire, and pay. Most of our clients, I'll be honest, they already have their workers, that are contracting with them, that they are paying through something like a Venmo, Western Union, PayPal, bank transfers, or whatever. And it's under the table, and they know that they need to do it the right way, but they don't even know where to start. And so we'll come in and help those companies. But if a company also says, I've never done this outsourcing thing, I need, someone to help with, for example, one client, he has a side business that's a property management company.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs kind of that office manager to handle support tickets. And he's thinking, let's try this out with someone in, south of the border, and see if we can find someone that's going to really appreciate a salary of something like $10 or $12 an hour. And as opposed to, I can pay someone $15 an hour and they're just not loving it and not excited about the work, their job, or anything like that. So I say, okay, pick your country and or I can help guide you through that. And then we will go and present candidates to you. And the recruiting is we're not trying to get rich on recruiting. It's not our moneymaker. Mm-hmm. So if you've worked with professional recruiters before, a lot of times they'll say like, yeah, we want 25% of the first year's annual salary. It's like, woo, that's a pretty steep just to make a connection. Granted, recruiting is a lot more than just connecting people. There's a lot more that goes into it. But what we say is just pay us for our time. So anywhere from generally $50 to $100 per hour. And if it's 50 an hour and it only takes us 10 hours to connect you to that customer service agent that you want to do that job, then congratulations, you just filled a role for $500 instead of $25,000, and you're off and running, and you have our system to make that easy to do so.
Okay, excellent. Landon, I have a question about cross-cultural communication. As you know, we all speak English, and probably 65% of the world speaks English, but we don't speak the same English. What challenges have you faced in bridging cultural gaps during the hiring process, and how have you perhaps give us some tips? How have you overcome them?
That's a really, really good question, and it's something that I love and enjoy.
Uh-huh.
As a piece of our business model, we haven't sought out to go and solve that problem necessarily. So we would bring in a partner like you to say, hey, looks like you're having some cultural issues. You should chat with Mona and see if there's some things that she could help, talk through from a consulting or coaching standpoint. But we see it all the time, especially in the more Eastern countries where cultures are more different, right? India and the Philippines. I'll give an example, and it's totally stereotypical, which is what happens when you do kind of cultural, training. In some ways, you have to stereotype. But when I was at Pluralsight, and I'm providing technology training solutions, I was on the phone with a manager in Germany, and he said, "I've got a team in Russia and a team in India. I need about 10 subscriptions for each." And I said, "Hey, I'm very curious. I've got a lot of living experience in Eastern Europe and Russia, and have some really great friends in India. Who are the better engineers? Like, give it to me. Like, let's get your opinion. I want a data point." And he said, "Oh, it's totally different. Like in India, I'll ask the team to do this project." And it's like, "Yes, absolutely. We've got it. We'll go ahead and we'll do it." And then, 5 months later, I find out like they didn't have the skills to be able to do it. That's why I need Pluralsight in this example. Whereas in Russia, if I call them and say, "Hey, I've got this project," they'll be like, "Yet, we don't have the team to be able to fulfill on this," like right out the gate, maybe even abrasively, like, "You're crazy. Why would you ask us to do that?" Right. So it's totally different culture dynamics that this manager in Germany was good to pick up on. But places like the Philippines, like they want to please their leaders. And if they don't have enough work to do, for example, they don't want to go to you and say like, "Hey, I'm kind of bored. I don't have enough work to do," because they may be seen as unuseful, or like, "Oh, well, if you don't have enough work to do, then why would I keep paying you? Like, get out of here. I'm firing you." And when you come from a scarcity environment, like a lot of people do in an entry-level job in the Philippines, the last thing they want to do is give any reason why they are not necessary to the company. So that causes some US leaders to just really micromanage, and they use like screen recording softwares to make sure that they're at their computer and that they're clicking their mouse and typing. And it's like, that's not necessarily the best way to go about it. It's things that I'm sure your podcast and your coaching teaches, which is human connection, open dialogue. You're safe with me. I'm not going to let you go. I've had an employee one time that I said, like, "If you don't have enough to do, I'm just going to assume that you're going to go play video games, because I haven't given you enough work. Please don't play video games until you ask me, 'Hey, I need more work.' And then if I still don't get back to you because I'm that busy to not give you more work, have a great time playing video games. I'm not going to let you go. Like, you're my guy for a long time. You're great. You're good at what you do. But like, if you don't have enough work to do, please let me know, so that we can have open dialogue like that." So those kinds of things really go a long way. And I think you guys are the experts in that. We're the experts in helping them hire compliantly and pay them. And when it comes to like ongoing training and management and everything, as fun as that is, we don't get there too much other than anecdotal advice every now and again.
Those are really great examples. And I was just curious, as you were mentioning some of them, if there's any other things like that come up, for example, as far as cultural compatibility, like something like giving feedback, or maybe even hierarchy, like the concept of what's expected from a manager in different cultures. I'm sure you have plenty of anecdotes. Is there anything that kind of pops in your mind?
Oh boy. Here's one funny story. So when I was at ExxonMobil, and I had a guy that worked with me in Curitiba, Brazil. And then I have a really good friend from Lithuania who is Russian, and he's got a great job that allows him to travel quite a bit. So my friend in Brazil, his sister was going on vacation to Russia for 2 weeks. At the same time, my friend from Lithuania went on a vacation on a business trip to Brazil. And I didn't, put anything together in my mind, but I asked my friend Denise, the Russian, how have you liked Brazil? How's it been? And he's like, this place is amazing. These people are so nice to me. The beaches, the people, the culture, the dancing, it's incredible. Like, it's unreal. And then I asked my friend, Marcelo, how's your sister liking Russia? She's, got this 2-week trip. He said she came home after 3 days. She couldn't handle the culture. She's like, everyone was staring at me. Everyone was, I'd ask people, how are you doing? And they were like mean to me. So she just didn't know what she was going to. She didn't appreciate it. Whereas I love the people of Eastern Europe because I can appreciate the history, the culture, what makes them a little bit more what we'd call closed off and not like hugging strangers like they do in Thailand or Brazil. Well, they don't hug strangers because they have a culture of distrust from a history of where you can't trust your neighbor because they might, submit you to the KGB or something like that. It's real stuff.
Yes, yes.
Once you can appreciate that, like, okay, now I get it, why they're not as like open and friendly. And when you do meet someone in Russia that's open and friendly, it's a different type of connection than, again, something like a Brazil or something like that. But in the work environment, that's when you ask me right out the gate, like, what factors do you consider for global hiring? Okay, great. Like I said, time zone, I said compensation, type of work, the manager, the hiring manager, number one thing. Like if you've got somebody that's just, like never traveled, typical like country bumpkin that just, is not very culturally aware or sensitive, I guess maybe they are. I just gave a bunch of stereotypes that are not relevant. An empathetic manager that
Yeah.
is ready to learn, oh, okay, this person's in South Africa, and I guess they have brownouts and the power will go out for time, like instead of, oh, I can't stand hiring in South Africa, they have brownouts and their power goes out. I've got a guy from Georgia, actually from the woods of Georgia, that was like, so I bought her a generator so that she could keep the power going and keep her internet going. And it was like, you just bought a generator? Like, just like that. Like, that's amazing, right? So having the empathy is so critical to global hiring. Like, and if you've got a hiring manager on your team that's not the most empathetic,
Yeah.
probably not best for global hiring yet until they've been through some real training.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree and echo every word, Landon, because I have a team also in India and we go through the same thing. Um, let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
Um, what advice would you give to companies looking to build a more diverse and globally minded talent pipeline?
Well, I feel similarly to how I feel about hiring someone at a lower cost point in a different country.
Hmm.
It feels like a hack. It feels almost like theft, right? It's like, wow, this person is so great. I'll go back to my guy in South Africa.
Hmm.
To hire him in Utah, he's going to need a base compensation of at least, $5,000 per month, 60K a year. He's great. He's skilled. He's driven. He's our values. I love him. But he came to us through another client at $1,500 per month.
Hmm.
He's maybe one of the favorite people that's ever worked for me in my life.
Hmm.
And so from that standpoint, like we've raised his compensation since then quite a bit, but it feels like, wow, what a hack. What, like I've found, just discovered something that's incredible. And some of our clients that are early in global hiring feel that way. But I would think it's the same thing in diversity. Like
Hmm.
here you are spinning your wheels, trying to meet diversity quotas and bring in new thoughts and new ideas, hiring in your local community to come into your office, like I said, in Kansas or wherever, Montana. If you want some diversity, like hire in Egypt and see what they learn. And, I've got a new client onboarding that's in Tel Aviv, Israel. And I've also got a new client that just joined us from Egypt. And, we hear everything on the news, and we have people in Ukraine. Like, if you want to develop empathy and get like what diversity and inclusion, the goals of those are not just to, spread out opportunities amongst our own tight-knit communities, but also to give people opportunities around the world, in my opinion. So let's give those people opportunities and then listen to them and learn from them. And you almost can't not develop empathy when one of the people that you interact with on a daily basis is in another country that's experiencing things firsthand. So
I have a question about communication. Have you ever found that, for example, people in cultures that are a little more indirect and diplomatic might have difficulty with cultures that are a little more direct and to the point, more task oriented? Have you seen any issues, and do you give them any kind of advice as far as how they might face things like feedback or instructions on how to do things? Anything that you've observed as far as the communication piece goes?
Yeah, I mean, the example that I gave with the people going on vacation to Brazil and Russia, not necessarily a work relationship, but had they worked together, can you imagine, right? Like if someone in Brazil is reporting to someone in Russia, they're just going to think like, wow, this person hates me all the time. When really, like, I've done business in Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, these countries that are further east, Ukraine I'd mentioned, and it's like they have great work environments, they're happy people, like, and so, but yeah, they just don't need to like dance and tiptoe around the issue or the feedback. They just get right to it. So it's just important to be mindful of and to remind and educate. And I think we as leaders in business all have our quirks and our things that we need to constantly, like when my team members say I'm going to be on vacation next week, or hey, third week of June I'm going to be out, like I just want to let you know or get permission. Whatever reason I have a mind block, like this is just a personal thing, I never remember. I'm like, so you're gonna need to text me the day before, even if you put it on my calendar, like I will not remember that you're going on vacation, so let me know right before it so that we can buckle up a couple things before you go. And I think it's one of those, like, constantly remind your people that like we have different communication styles, preferences, and so when you're going to get feedback from Vladimir, then just be prepared that it could come a little bit abrasive, but it's okay. It's done in love, and we just want to improve and be better. So.
Okay. Well, we know that you're busy, Landon, and we appreciate your time. We won't keep you any longer. But I do have a last question for you.
Great. Love it. Yeah, sure.
And that is what advice would you give to aspiring global hiring managers or HR professionals looking to make their mark in this field? What advice would you give them?
Well, besides reaching out to me, I'm on LinkedIn. Landon Pitcher is my name again. What advice would I give to them? I think is probably just get ready to experience a really fun journey. I don't know a lot of people that just try global hiring and then they're like, that's it, I'm done. Didn't work. Most of the time they're like, that was really cool. I learned a lot of things. And I loved my people there, or I didn't, but I want to try this country, so just buckle up, take the plunge. We'll help to make it easy for you and ease your fears on some of the nuances and things that you may not be prepared for, but go for it and do it. And you'll learn a lot, and it'll be a great experience for you and the person that you're hiring.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much for your time. Landon Pitcher is the man for you for any hiring projects you have or whatever question you may have in global hiring arena. Reach out to him so they can find you in LinkedIn and direct or website.
Website is listoglobal.com. Listo means ready in Spanish and a few other languages, actually. So listoglobal.com is our website.
Okay. Well, you want to be Listo.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Okay, great. Thanks for your time as well. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.